Dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a discussion on one of the most profound and challenging aspects of spiritual life, hardcore spirituality. This path is not for the faint-hearted. It demands a deep commitment to self-realization, a willingness to break free from all attachments, and a relentless pursuit of truth. In the following, we will explore what hardcore spirituality truly entails and the transformative journey it invites us on. Let's dive into the essence of this powerful path that promises liberation and inner awakening. Everything your own existence, the nature of reality, and the universe itself. This truth-seeking is not just like an existential one, requiring a direct experience of life beyond the material and conceptual. In this journey, you are not satisfied with theories or second-hand knowledge. You seek to experience the truth directly. It's the recognition that the truths you've been taught may be limited or incomplete, and that true understanding comes only through personal experience. This is not a passive acceptance of what's given, but an active engagement with life, asking the deep, fundamental questions that go beyond the surface. The journey towards the truth also involves letting go of preconceived notions and accepting the possibility that much of what you once thought you knew may not be true. It's an ongoing process of refinement as you peel away layers of conditioning and biases that obscure your true perception. Hardcore spirituality requires you to face discomfort in the pursuit of clarity, as you begin to see beyond the illusions that have clouded your vision. This search for truth also means rejecting the common distractions that keep you focused on transient desires, fleeting pleasures, and societal expectations. You realize that seeking external fulfillment is not the answer, for the truth lies within. Only through diving into your inner self, through introspection and deep contemplation, can you uncover the truths that truly matter. This process is liberating yet challenging, as you strip away the layers of falsehood to reveal the unchanging reality that exists beneath. In essence, the pursuit of truth in hardcore spirituality is a life-altering quest. It is not about seeking knowledge for the sake of knowledge, but rather about experiencing life in its purest form, beyond the noise and illusions of the world. It requires a dedication to self-discovery and a fearless approach to uncovering what has always been hidden, waiting to be revealed. Breaking attachments is one of the most profound and challenging aspects of hardcore spirituality. In a material world, we form deep connections with people, possessions, and ideas which we often come to believe define us or provide us with security. These attachments can become the very foundation of our identity, shaping our thoughts, actions, and desires. Hardcore spirituality demands that we detach ourselves from these external sources of attachment, not in the sense of rejecting or abandoning them, but in freeing ourselves from their hold over our sense of self. At its core, attachment is a form of dependency. When we attach ourselves to external circumstances, people, or material objects, we give them power over our happiness, sense of security, and inner peace. We start to believe that our joy or fulfillment is contingent upon these external factors, and this dependence keeps us in a constant state of wanting, striving, and seeking. Hardcore spirituality requires us to challenge and release this dependency, to recognize that true peace, contentment, and liberation come not from the outside world but from within. The process of breaking attachments involves recognizing the impermanent nature of everything around us. People, relationships, material possessions, and even our own thoughts and emotions are transient, they come and go. The very essence of life is change, and nothing remains the same forever. When we become attached to things that are fleeting, we set ourselves up for suffering. By releasing attachment, we allow ourselves to live more freely and fully, without the fear of loss or the anxiety of not having enough. Detachment does not mean indifference or coldness toward others. In fact, it can allow for deeper, more genuine connections. When we are not attached to the outcome of relationships, or the need for validation, we can engage with others from a place of love and compassion rather than from a place of need or expectation. We can give freely without expecting anything in return, and our relationships become more authentic and fulfilling. One of the biggest challenges in breaking attachments is the attachment to our own identity. We often define ourselves by our roles, titles, achievements, or the approval of others. These constructs are fragile and can easily be shaken by external circumstances, but they don't represent our true essence. Hardcore spirituality teaches us to go beyond these superficial layers of self-identification and to discover who we truly are, independent of labels and societal expectations. As we begin to break these attachments, we start to experience a deeper sense of freedom. We are no longer enslaved by the need for external validation, nor do we rely on external circumstances to determine our state of mind or happiness. We realize that true fulfillment comes from within, from aligning with our deeper nature and embracing the present moment as it is. The journey of breaking attachments is not a one-time event, but a continuous process. It involves regular self-reflection and mindfulness to ensure that we are not unconsciously attaching ourselves to new things or ideas. It is a practice of constantly examining our motivations, desires, and emotional responses to the world around us. As we release attachments, we create space for a deeper connection with ourselves and ultimately with the universal consciousness that transcends all forms and boundaries. By breaking attachments, we remove the obstacles that prevent us from experiencing the fullness of life. We free ourselves from the bondage of expectation and suffering, and we open ourselves to a life of inner peace, clarity, and true spiritual freedom. It is through this process that we are able to embrace the impermanence of life and align ourselves with the eternal truths that lie beyond the world of form and attachment. Constant self-inquiry is one of the most vital practices in hardcore spirituality. It is the ongoing process of questioning everything you know, everything you believe, and everything you identify with. This deep and relentless examination of your own thoughts, actions, and beliefs is designed to peel away the layers of conditioning, false identifications, and societal programming that obscure your true nature. The key here is not to accept things as they are handed to you, but to dig deeper, asking why, what, and how until you reach the very core of your existence. Self-inquiry goes beyond mere intellectual questioning. It is a profound spiritual practice that involves not just thinking about the nature of reality, but directly experiencing it through observation and reflection. It is about questioning your identity, your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions at the deepest level. Who am I? Why do I think the way I do? What motivates my actions? What do I fear or desire? These are some of the foundational questions that guide self-inquiry. The purpose of self-inquiry is to uncover the truth of who you are, not the illusionized self that you have built through your life experiences, societal conditioning, or past traumas. The external identity, the I that you cling to, whether it be your job title, your role in society, or your past experiences, is an illusion. Hardcore spirituality requires you to question and ultimately transcend this false sense of self, realizing that you are not limited to any one identity or role. One of the most challenging aspects of self-inquiry is confronting the ego, the collection of beliefs, desires, and fears that create your sense of I. The ego thrives on identification with external things, whether it's possessions, achievements, relationships, or opinions. It is through self-inquiry that you come to realize that this ego is not your true self. By observing the ego in action, understanding its mechanisms, and questioning its motivations, you begin to loosen its grip on your consciousness. Self-inquiry also involves looking deeply at your emotional responses and thought patterns. Emotions such as anger, jealousy, fear, or pride can cloud your perception of reality. When you are triggered emotionally, it's an invitation for deeper exploration. By pausing to reflect on why you are feeling a certain way, you can uncover the underlying beliefs and fears that shape your emotional reactions. This practice allows you to move beyond surface level emotions and cultivate emotional intelligence, helping you respond to life more consciously rather than react impulsively. Another critical aspect of self-inquiry is mindfulness. Being fully aware of your thoughts, actions, and sensations in the present moment is an essential part of the process. This awareness creates space between you and your thoughts, allowing you to observe them objectively rather than being carried away by them. With consistent practice, this heightened awareness leads to greater clarity, helping you distinguish between what is real and what is merely a projection of the mind. Self-inquiry also involves questioning the beliefs and values that have been ingrained in you by society, culture, and upbringing. These external influences shape your worldview and often limit your potential for spiritual growth. By questioning these deeply held beliefs and conditioning, you can begin to see life as it truly is without the distortions of inherited ideologies. This process of deconstructing beliefs opens you up to a more expansive and authentic understanding of reality. The power of self-inquiry lies in its ability to bring you face to face with your true essence. Through this practice, you begin to peel away the layers of illusion and self-deception, discovering that your true nature is vast, boundless, and unchanging. What you once believed to be your identity, a collection of memories, experiences, and roles, is revealed as a fleeting construct. The more you inquire, the closer you get to realizing the oneness of all existence and the interconnectedness of everything around you. Self-inquiry requires deep courage and honesty. It can be uncomfortable to confront the false identities, fears, and attachments that you build over the years. But it is precisely in this discomfort that spiritual growth occurs. Each moment of questioning is a step closer to the truth, a deeper understanding of your innermost being. Over time, this practice leads to profound clarity and insight, bringing you to a place of inner peace and spiritual awakening. Ultimately, constant self-inquiry is not just a mental exercise, it's a way of living. It becomes a lifestyle, a daily practice that continues to unfold as you navigate the complexities of life. By constantly examining your thoughts, actions, and emotions, you cultivate the awareness necessary to transcend the ego, break free from limitations, and awaken to the full potential of your being. The process of self-inquiry is the path to liberation, allowing you to live in alignment with your highest truth and experience the fullness of life. Discipline and commitment are foundational principles in hardcore spirituality. Without discipline, spiritual practice can become inconsistent and shallow, while without commitment, the journey toward awakening can feel disjointed and uncertain. Hardcore spirituality demands that you consistently engage in practices that will challenge your comfort zone, cultivate inner peace, and help you transcend the limitations of your ego and mind. It is a path that requires you to show up every day, no matter how difficult or uncomfortable it may feel. Discipline in this context is not about rigid adherence to rules or restrictions, it's about consistency and intention. It's the dedication to following a path even when external circumstances do not support it, or when the mind tells you to quit. It is about prioritizing spiritual growth above all else, even when distractions, doubts, and temptations arise. Without discipline, the practice of meditation, self-inquiry, mindfulness, and other spiritual activities would be sporadic, and the transformative effects would be limited. Discipline ensures that you maintain a steady focus, gradually reprogramming your mind and emotions to align with your higher self. The commitment required for hardcore spirituality is not just about following a set of practices, but also about embodying the principles of spirituality in everyday life. It's about living a life that is rooted in the values of love, compassion, non-attachment, and presence. This level of commitment means that spiritual practice becomes a way of life, not a mere ritual performed for a short period each day. It becomes an ongoing process of inner transformation that infuses every moment and every action, from the way you interact with others to the way you respond to challenges. When you commit to hardcore spirituality, you are making a conscious decision to transcend the limitations of the ego and align with the universal consciousness. This commitment often involves making sacrifices in other areas of life, especially when you realize that your current lifestyle, habits, or relationships are not in harmony with your spiritual growth. Sometimes this means letting go of attachments or moving away from situations that do not support your path. However, true commitments means that you recognize the temporary discomfort of these changes as a necessary step toward greater freedom and spiritual awakening. Commitment also involves trusting the process. In hardcore spirituality, the results may not always be immediate or visible. There may be periods of doubt or frustration where it feels like progress is slow or non-existent. But true commitment means staying the course even during these challenging times. It requires a deep understanding that spiritual growth is not linear and that every step, whether perceived as progress or setback, is part of the greater unfolding. The more committed you are, the more you begin to trust that every experience, no matter how challenging, is an opportunity for growth. One aspect of discipline in hardcore spirituality is cultivating the ability to overcome distractions and temptations. The mind is often drawn toward indulgence, pleasure, and comfort, and in our modern world, distractions are abundant. Whether it's the pull of social media, material desires, or the temptation to avoid uncomfortable emotions, discipline requires you to stay focused on your spiritual path despite these distractions. It means cultivate inner strength to resist the pull of short-term gratifications and instead invest your energy in practices that bring you closer to lasting peace, clarity, and enlightenment. Along with discipline, another key element is the willingness to confront your own weaknesses and flaws. Hardcore spirituality is not about seeking perfection or avoiding mistakes, but about facing your weaknesses head-on, acknowledging them, and using them as tools for growth. In this sense, discipline becomes a mirror that reflects where you are still attached to the ego or where fear or resistance are holding you back. Through consistent practice and committed self-reflection, you can overcome these obstacles and continue to evolve toward a higher state of consciousness. The discipline and commitment required for hardcore spirituality are also reflected in your approach to time. Spiritual practice is not about fitting into the available moments between other commitments. It's about making time for your spiritual growth every single day. Whether it's through daily meditation, prayer, self-inquiry, or mindfulness, you make space in your life for spiritual practice, recognizing that this is not just a hobby or a passing interest, but the very essence of who you are becoming. As you grow in discipline and commitment, you begin to experience a deeper sense of inner peace and contentment. And the results of your practices will gradually manifest in all areas of your life. The benefits are not limited to spiritual progress alone, but extend into emotional, mental, and physical well-being. You'll find that with dedication, your ability to handle life's challenges with grace and equanimity will increase, and your relationships, work, and overall quality of life will improve. In hardcore spirituality, discipline and commitment are not seen as burdens, but as the necessary tools for self-mastery. The more committed you are to your spiritual path, the more deeply you will experience the profound peace, wisdom, and freedom that lie beyond the surface level of existence. Through consistent practice and unwavering dedication, you begin to realize that you are not separate from the universal consciousness, but an expression of it, and this realization brings you closer to your ultimate goal of liberation. The journey of hardcore spirituality involves facing and conquering the obstacles within, and one of the most significant challenges is transcending the mind and ego. The mind is often the greatest barrier to spiritual growth, as it is constantly active, filled with thoughts, desires, judgments, and distractions. The ego, which is the false sense of self created by the mind, further compounds this issue. It thrives on attachments, identifications, and the illusion of separateness, making it one of the biggest hurdles on the path to spiritual awakening. Transcending the mind does not mean eliminating it or trying to suppress it, but rather recognizing its limitations and seeing beyond it. The mind is a tool that can be used for spiritual growth, but it is also a source of illusion when left unchecked. In hardcore spirituality, the goal is not to be controlled by the mind, but to cultivate awareness and mastery over it. This requires a deep level of mindfulness, where you are fully present and aware of each thought as it arises without becoming entangled in it. One of the first steps in transcending the mind is to recognize the patterns of thought that dominate your consciousness. These mental patterns often arise from past experiences, conditioning, fears, and the ego's need for validation. By observing these thoughts without judgment, you can begin to identify the recurring patterns that keep you trapped in a cycle of self-limitation. For example, thoughts of inadequacy, fear of the future, or attachment to the past can prevent you from being fully present in the now. When you become aware of these thought patterns, you are in a position to transcend them not by force, but through observation and detachment. The ego, which feeds on identification with the mind, is another major obstacle in the path of hardcore spirituality. It seeks to define itself through roles, possessions, relationships, achievements, and even beliefs. The ego creates a false sense of separation, a belief that you are an individual entity separate from the rest of the universe. This identification with the ego keeps you trapped in a limited sense of self, one that is bound by the fear of loss, judgment, and self-preservation. Hardcore spirituality challenges this notion by encouraging you to question the very existence of the ego and its grip on your consciousness. Transcending the ego involves recognizing that the sense of I or me is a construct of the mind, not your true nature. The more you identify with the ego, the more you reinforce the illusion of separateness. But when you begin to detach from the ego and observe it without judgment, you start to realize that the I is not who you truly are. By practicing detachment, mindfulness, and self-inquiry, you gradually weaken the ego's hold over you, leading to a sense of unity and oneness with all of existence. Meditation is one of the most powerful tools for transcending the mind and ego. Through consistent meditation practice, you learn to quiet the incessant chatter of the mind and reach a state of deep stillness. In this stillness, the ego begins to dissolve, and you experience a state of pure awareness. Meditation helps you move beyond the limitations of thought and ego, allowing you to experience the truth of your being, which is beyond the mind. As you deepen your meditation practice, you begin to experience moments of pure presence, where the mind is silent and the ego is absent. These moments reveal the deeper, timeless nature of consciousness. Transcending the mind and ego also involves embracing the impermanence of all things. The mind and ego are constantly in motion, seeking security, control, and validation, but the truth is that everything in life is transient. Thoughts come and go, emotions fluctuate, and even the ego itself is subject to change. By understanding the impermanence of the mind and ego, you begin to loosen your attachment to them, realizing that they are not your true self. This understanding brings a sense of freedom, as you no longer need to cling to fleeting thoughts or identify with transient emotions. Another essential aspect of transcending the mind and ego is the practice of surrender. Surrender is not about giving up or submitting to external forces, but about letting go of the need for control. The ego is constantly trying to control situations, people, and outcomes, but this only leads to stress, frustration, and suffering. In hardcore spirituality, surrender means relinquishing the false sense of control and allowing life to unfold naturally. This surrender is not passive, but involves a deep trust in the process of life and the recognition that the universe is unfolding perfectly, even if we cannot always see the bigger picture. Overcoming the mind and ego is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process. It requires consistent self-awareness a willingness to face uncomfortable truths about yourself. As you work to transcend the mind and ego, you will experience periods of resistance where old patterns of thought and behavior resurface. However, these moments provide valuable opportunities for growth. Each time you encounter resistance, you have the chance to go deeper into your practice and deepen your awareness. Ultimately, transcending the mind and ego leads to a profound shift in consciousness. You begin to experience life not as an individual, separate entity, but as part of a greater interconnected whole. The mind and ego, while useful tools for navigating the world, no longer dominate your reality. Instead, you live from a place of inner peace, clarity, and presence, free from the limitations of the false self. This state of transcendence allows you to experience life more fully, without the distortions created by the mind and ego. It is through this process that you can awaken to your true nature and experience the fullness of existence. Living with awareness and presence is at the heart of hardcore spirituality. In our everyday lives, we are often caught up in the chaos of thoughts, emotions, distractions, and external stimuli which prevent us from fully experiencing the present moment. We either dwell in the past or worry about the future, which keeps us disconnected from the richness of the now. Hardcore spirituality emphasizes the importance of living with deep awareness, being fully present in each moment and deeply engaged with whatever is unfolding around you. Awareness is not merely about paying attention to what is happening externally, but about being attuned to your internal state as well. It is about observing your thoughts, emotions, and sensations without becoming attached to them or identifying with them. The practice of awareness begins with recognizing that the mind tends to create a narrative about everything it encounters. It analyzes, judges, compares, and labels. However, the essence of true awareness is the ability to witness the mind's activity without getting caught up in it. It's an approach where you observe thoughts and emotions as they arise, not allowing them to define or control you. By practicing this kind of mindfulness, you can maintain a sense of peace and clarity even in the midst of external noise or inner turmoil. Living with presence also means immersing yourself completely in whatever you are doing in the moment. This practice requires you to fully engage with your surroundings and the task at hand, rather than letting your mind wander to the past or future. Whether you are eating, walking, talking, or even sitting in silence, every action becomes an opportunity to practice being present. When you approach each activity with full presence, you elevate it to a spiritual practice, regardless of whether it is something traditionally considered spiritual or mundane. Being present in every moment also involves letting go of the need for validation, approval, or achievement. In modern life, we often live in a state of seeking approval from others, seeking success, seeking the next moment of pleasure or happiness. But this constant striving takes us away from the present moment, as we are always looking for something outside ourselves to fulfill us. Hardcore spirituality teaches that true fulfillment comes from within, and when we stop chasing external validation, we can fully appreciate what we have right now. When you live without attachment to outcomes or external recognition, you open yourself to the richness of the present, where true joy and peace reside. This presence is not just a passive awareness, but an active engagement with life itself. To be fully present is to be alive, to feel the aliveness of your body, the energy in your surroundings, and the interconnectedness of all things. It means engaging with life with an open heart and an open mind without the filter of mix or expectation. When you approach life in this way, you are no longer a passive observer, but an active participant in the unfolding of the universe. Presence also requires the cultivation of patience. In a world that constantly seeks speed and instant results, we have lost the ability to slow down and simply be. Patience allows you to stay in the moment without rushing or pushing for an outcome. It is the acceptance that things will unfold in their own time, and that there is wisdom in every moment, regardless of whether it aligns with your expectations or desires. Patience allows you to experience life with a sense of ease As you trust the process of unfolding rather than trying to force things to happen, the practice of presence also involves an acceptance of impermanence. Everything in life, our thoughts, our feelings, our relationships, and our experiences is temporary. When you are present, you can fully embrace the fleeting nature of life without becoming attached to it. This awareness of impermanence allows you to savor each moment as it is without clinging to it or trying to preserve it. It teaches you to let go of the fear of loss and to live with an open heart, fully immersed in whatever is happening, without resistance. Living with awareness and presence also extends to how we relate to others. It means being truly present with the people you interact with, listening deeply and engaging with them without distraction. It is about giving others your full attention, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. When you are present with others, your interactions become more authentic, more meaningful, and more compassionate. You can respond to others with empathy and understanding rather than reacting from a place of ego or conditioning. One of the most transformative aspects of living with presence is the ability to cultivate inner peace. When you are fully engaged with the present moment, you are not disturbed by past regrets or future anxieties. You experience life with a sense of calm, clarity, and contentment, knowing that everything is as it should be in the moment. This inner peace is not dependent on external circumstances but comes from the ability to accept and embrace whatever arises, knowing that each moment is part of a larger unfolding process. To live with awareness and presence is to free yourself from the constant striving for something outside of yourself. It is about realizing that everything you seek, whether it's peace, happiness, love, or success, is already available to you in the present moment. All that is required is the willingness to be fully here, to let go of distractions, and to immerse yourself in the experience of life as it is. When you embrace the present moment, you unlock a deep reservoir of inner peace, joy, and fulfillment that is not dependent on any external conditions. This is the essence of living with awareness and presence, and it is a core principle of hardcore spirituality. The path of hardcore spirituality requires the cultivation of inner strength, a vital quality that empowers an individual to face life's challenges with grace, resilience, and unwavering determination. Inner strength is not just about physical endurance or willpower, it is about developing a mental, emotional, and spiritual fortitude that allows you to withstand the pressures of life while remaining aligned with your deeper truths. It's about learning to navigate the complexities and uncertainties of life without being shaken from your center. At its core, inner strength is the ability to maintain composure, clarity, and peace even in the face of adversity. It is the strength to confront your fears, insecurities, and inner demons without allowing them to define or control you. Inner strength is the courage to stand firm in your beliefs and values, even when they are challenged by external forces or internal doubts. This quality is especially important in hardcore spirituality, where the journey is not always easy and moments of discomfort, doubt, or difficulty are inevitable. One of the key elements in cultivating inner strength is the practice of self-discipline. As previously discussed, discipline is about committing to the spiritual path consistently and staying true to your practice, even when it feels difficult. Self-discipline helps you build resilience and focus, enabling you to keep moving forward, regardless of the obstacles that arise. Whether it's through regular meditation, self-inquiry, or mindfulness, self-discipline provides the foundation for developing inner strength. It creates the mental toughness needed to resist distractions, stay grounded, and continue the spiritual journey with commitment. Emotional resilience is another crucial aspect of inner strength. Life often brings challenges that stir up intense emotions: anger, sadness, frustration, fear, or grief. These emotions can be overwhelming and cause us to react impulsively or unconsciously. Inner strength enables you to acknowledge these emotions without being controlled by them. Rather than suppressing or denying emotions, you learn to observe them, understand their origins, and respond in a measured and conscious way. By doing so, you prevent emotions from hijacking your peace and becoming obstacles to your spiritual progress. Building emotional resilience also means cultivating a sense of acceptance. When life does not go according to plan, or when things don't unfold the way you want them to, inner strength gives you the ability to accept the situation as it is without resisting or feeling defeated. Acceptance does not mean giving up or passively resigning yourself to fate, but rather recognizing that every experience, good or bad, is an opportunity for growth. It is through embracing life's challenges with acceptance that you can find peace amidst difficulty and continue moving forward with a sense of clarity. A vital component of inner strength is the ability to develop a deep sense of self-awareness. True inner strength comes from knowing yourself, your fears, desires, triggers, strengths, and weaknesses. It is only through self-awareness that you can identify the areas in which you are still attached to old patterns, limiting beliefs, or ego-driven reactions. When you're aware of these tendencies, you can consciously choose to break free from them, building strength in your ability to respond rather than react. Self-awareness also helps you align with your higher self, your true nature, which is a source of limitless power and peace. Inner strength is also nurtured through the practice of non-attachment. The more attached we are to people, possessions, outcomes, even identities, the more we subject ourselves to suffering. Attachment creates fear, as we are constantly trying to hold on to what we love or desire, or trying to avoid what we fear. Hardcore spirituality teaches the importance of non-attachment not as a way to disengage from life, but as a way to experience life without being dependent on external circumstances for your happiness or sense of self-worth. Non-attachment allows you to remain peaceful, no matter what changes or challenges come your way, because you no longer rely on external conditions to validate your inner state. You are rooted in something deeper that cannot be taken away. In the face of hardship, inner strength is about choosing to see challenges as opportunities for growth and transformation. Rather than viewing obstacles as signs of failure or frustration, you begin to approach them as part of the spiritual journey. Every difficulty, whether external or internal, is an invitation to go deeper into yourself, to confront your fears and limitations, and to rise above them. Through these trials, you discover untapped reservoirs of inner strength that you may have previously been unaware of. Each challenge becomes a step forward in your evolution, refining your character and deepening your understanding of the spiritual path. Furthermore, inner strength is closely tied to the practice of surrender. Surrender is not about giving up your power or resigning to life's difficulties, but about letting go of the need for control and trusting that everything is unfolding for your highest good. When you surrender, you release the resistance that often arises in difficult situations. You allow life to move through you, trusting that every experience is part of a larger divine plan. This surrender is an act of inner strength because it requires you to let go of the ego's need to manipulate, fix, or control outcomes. Instead, you learn to flow with life, adapting to its rhythms and trusting in its wisdom. Another powerful way to cultivate inner strength is through the practice of compassion, both for yourself and for others. Compassion is the ability to empathize with the suffering of others and respond with love and understanding. It is an essential part of hardcore spirituality because it helps to soften the ego and cultivate a deep sense of connection to all beings. When you are compassionate, you are able to maintain your strength without becoming hard, detached, or indifferent. Compassion opens your heart and reinforces your inner strength by reminding you that we are all in this journey of life together. And by supporting others, we strengthen ourselves. Ultimately, inner strength in hardcore spirituality is not just about surviving life's challenges, but about thriving through them. It is about aligning with your true nature and drawing upon the infinite well of strength, wisdom, and peace that lies within you. When you cultivate inner strength, you move through life with confidence, clarity, and calm, no longer at the mercy of external circumstances or internal fears. Instead, you live with a deep sense of purpose, rooted in your higher self and aligned with the flow of the universe. This inner strength is the foundation for living a life of true freedom, fulfillment, and spiritual awakening. The pursuit of inner peace is an essential cornerstone of hardcore spirituality. It is the profound sense of stillness and serenity that comes from within, independent of external circumstances. While most people seek peace through external achievements, possessions, or relationships, hardcore spirituality teaches that true peace cannot be found outside but must be cultivated internally. Achieving this inner peace requires dedicated practice, discipline, and understanding that it is not a fleeting emotion but a lasting state of being that arises when one aligns with their deeper, authentic self. One of the key aspects of attaining inner peace is learning to detach from the external world. Our modern society is filled with distractions, noise, and constant demands that can overwhelm the mind and emotions. The more we immerse ourselves in the external world, the more we lose touch with our inner selves. Hardcore spirituality teaches that peace is only possible when we disconnect from this external chaos and turn inward. By learning to detach from the need for external validation, material possessions, and the constant pursuit of achievements, we create the space necessary for inner peace to flourish. Detachment does not mean renouncing the world or withdrawing from life's responsibilities, but rather adopting a balanced approach. You can live fully in the world, engage in relationships, work, and pursue passions, but with an understanding that these external aspects do not define your sense of peace. The key is not to cling to them or allow them to dictate your emotional state. This detachment helps you develop the resilience to navigate challenges, setbacks, and changes without being disturbed by them. When you are not overly attached to external outcomes, you become more resilient in the face of life's unpredictability and more grounded in the present moment. Another significant aspect of achieving inner peace is the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness involves being fully present and aware of your thoughts, emotions, and actions without judgment. In our daily lives, we often operate on autopilot, reacting to situations and people based on conditioned patterns, rather than being fully conscious of our responses. Mindfulness helps you step out of this automatic reaction mode and observe your thoughts and feelings as they arise. When you practice mindfulness, you begin to recognize the transient nature of thoughts and emotions, and you realize that they do not define you. This awareness creates space between you and your thoughts, allowing you to respond more thoughtfully and calmly, rather than reacting impulsively. Through mindfulness, you also learn to embrace the present moment. So often we are either regretting the past or anxious about the future, which takes us away from the peace that can be found in the present. The present moment is where all life occurs. It is where you are truly alive. By staying anchored in the present, you allow the worries and distractions of the mind to fade into the background, and the deeper sense of peace that exists within you becomes more accessible. Mindfulness practice helps you let go of mental chatter and mental distractions, guiding you toward a state of inner calm. Forgiveness is another vital practice that leads to inner peace. Holding on to grudges, resentment, or anger only poisons the mind and heart, preventing the flow of peace. Whether it is forgiving others or forgiving yourself, the process of letting go of past hurts is essential in hardcore spirituality. When you forgive, you release the emotional baggage that weighs you down. It does not mean condoning harmful behavior, but rather freeing yourself from the emotional grip that anger, resentment, or guilt can hold on you. Forgiveness is a powerful tool for emotional healing and peace. It is a conscious decision to release the past and embrace the present without the weight of old wounds. Living in alignment with your values and principles also fosters inner peace. When you live authentically, based on your deepest truths and convictions, you experience a sense of integrity that aligns your mind, emotions, and actions. This alignment creates harmony within, as you are no longer torn between conflicting desires or outside pressures. When you act in accordance with your true self, you experience peace in knowing that you are living in harmony with your deeper purpose. This also helps reduce feelings of guilt, confusion, or dissatisfaction, which often arise when you act out of alignment with your true nature. A key component of inner peace is accepting life as it is, without resistance. Life is inherently uncertain, things do not always unfold according to our desires or expectations. However, in hardcore spirituality, acceptance is the cornerstone of peace. This does not mean passivity or resignation, but rather accepting life as a flow of experiences, some pleasant, some painful, without being overwhelmed by them. Accepting life as it is means understanding that everything is part of a greater whole, and everything that happens has a purpose, even if it is not immediately apparent. Acceptance allows you to release the need for control and embrace the unknown, knowing that peace comes from flowing with life's currents rather than fighting against them. The practice of gratitude also plays an essential role in cultivating inner peace. When we focus on what we lack or what is wrong in our lives, we create inner tension and dissatisfaction. But when we practice gratitude, we shift our focus to what we already have and the blessings we experience in each moment. Gratitude brings a sense of abundance and contentment, which naturally leads to peace. By recognizing and appreciating the small miracles and everyday joys, such as the beauty of nature, the warmth of relationships, or the gift of health, we begin to experience life as abundant and fulfilling, and peace naturally arises within. Another aspect of attaining inner peace is the cultivation of compassion, both for yourself and for others. Compassion is the ability to recognize the suffering in others and respond with love and understanding. It also involves being gentle with yourself when you make mistakes or face challenges. Hardcore spirituality teaches that peace is found when you open your heart and embrace all beings with kindness, regardless of their actions or behavior. Compassion dissolves judgment and division, and it creates a sense of interconnectedness and unity. When you practice compassion, you are naturally drawn toward peace, because you see the inherent humanity in all, and you realize that peace comes from love, not division. Lastly, surrendering to the present moment is a powerful practice for achieving inner peace. Surrender is not about giving up, but about letting go of the need to control everything. When you surrender, you accept life's flow, trust the process, and release the anxiety of trying to manage every outcome. Surrender is about trusting that life will unfold as it is meant to, and that peace comes when you stop trying to force things to happen. This surrendering to the present moment allows the mind to relax and the heart to open, bringing deep peace that is not dependent on circumstances. The journey to inner peace is ongoing, requiring consistent effort and dedication. But when you practice detachment, mindfulness, forgiveness, acceptance, gratitude, compassion, and surrender, you gradually create a life that is more grounded in peace. Inner peace is not the absence of challenges or difficulties. Rather, it is the ability to remain undisturbed by external events, grounded in the knowing that true peace resides within. It is through this peace that you can navigate life with clarity, joy, and harmony, regardless of what comes your way. In conclusion, the path to inner peace through hardcore spirituality is a transformative journey that requires dedication, practice, and a deep understanding of the nature of life and the self. It is not a destination, but an ongoing process of self-discovery, self-awareness, and self-mastery. As you cultivate detachment, mindfulness, forgiveness, gratitude, and compassion, you gradually free yourself from the noise and distractions of the world, allowing the profound peace within to emerge. The peace you seek is not outside of you, but a natural state that arises when you connect with your higher self and live in harmony with the flow of life. Embrace this path with patience, persistence, and love, knowing that each step you take toward inner peace is a step toward a life of greater fulfillment, joy, and spiritual awakening.